I'll See You in My Dreams is a 2015 film directed by Brett Haley. It's written by Haley and Marc Basch, and we have a cast including Blythe Danner, Sam Elliott, June Squibb, Rhea Perlman. It's because of Rhea Perlman that this came on my radar, but to be honest, it's a film that I might have ended up watching eventually anyway, because I do like this kind of narrative. Unfortunately, the film itself, while it's not a bad film, there's nothing specific about it that I can say was badly done. I didn't think it was very interesting, and I can't identify why. It's not one of those films where I just didn't care for it. I'm not really sure why. I can't actually pinpoint why, so I will explain that, but I won't give any spoilers in case you do decide to watch it. I didn't love it, but it maybe is an okay film as an easy watch. It's about a woman called Carol who's going through a difficult situation, and it does get off to a really emotional start, and that's important, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. And she is an older woman, and it's all about having this new lease on life, dating people, and basically realizing that there's still life left within her. And she, as I said, it does get off to an emotional start. I won't say what happens, but it was quite emotional. And I thought, okay, brilliant. We're going to tug at the heartstrings, and then we're going to have a light-hearted comedy with some more emotion woven throughout it. There are many films about older adults, usually women, let's face it, who are in this situation where things just seem really bleak, and then they either meet somebody or they join a club and they get this new lease on life. And when they're done right, they are so uplifting, they're emotional at times, but they're also really moving. And unfortunately, while there's nothing wrong with the narrative, by which I mean the pacing is fine, the narrative structure is fine, it doesn't really tick any of those boxes. The emotion was there at the beginning, but I never really felt an emotional connection with any of the characters throughout the film. And I don't think the comedy was there. I didn't find any of this funny. There was one scene with a shopping cart that was maybe a little entertaining, but other than that, I didn't find it funny. So it's not that emotional. I didn't really lean into the comedy at all. So the only thing that's left, well, there are two things left, the narrative and the characters. I've already said the narrative itself isn't actually that interesting. Again, not bad as such, just not good. And unfortunately, I found the characters to be really, really boring. The performances are fine, but the characters just seem really flat. I never really connected with them, and Carol as a protagonist is just kind of dull. Not unlikable. There's nothing about her that I didn't like, but again, I didn't emotionally connect with her. It's not so much that I didn't care about her, but there was no emotional connection to the character, and then there's no comedy there, so I'm not finding her funny and entertaining. There's nothing there. So I can pinpoint why it didn't work, and that's basically because it doesn't really tick any of the boxes that this kind of film needs to tick to work. If it had ticked some of them, if it had been funny or really emotional, or we had a really likable protagonist, it might have been okay. But unfortunately, it just falls short on every occasion, and that meant that I didn't really enjoy it. It is watchable. It's not a film that was a challenge to sit through. I just didn't really have any emotional response. I didn't really have any enjoyment, apart from those early scenes at the beginning when things definitely were quite emotional. Do I recommend it? Only if you particularly like this kind of film in general. I don't think it's a good example of this kind of film, but if you do like this kind of film, there may be some aspects that appeal to you. And I don't regret watching it. I liked Rhea Perlman in this. Everybody gave a decent performance, no complaints there. But everything else didn't really work very well. If it sounds like it might really appeal to you, check it out. But I'll See You in My Dreams definitely isn't as good as it could have been.